Zipper rolls out to the right, pitches off to Taylor, and Taylor's to the 20, down to the 15, down to the 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Billy Taylor scored a touchdown from 21 yards out. The crowd goes berserk. It was November 22nd, 1969. That they came to Barry, Michigan, all dressed in maize and blue. The words were said, the prayers were read, and everybody cried. But when they closed the coffin, there was someone else inside. Oh, they came to Barry, Michigan, but Michigan wasn't dead. And when the game was over, it was someone else instead. 11 Michigan Wolverines put on the gloves of gray, and as the organ played the victors, they laid Woody Hayes away. Under center is Wangler at the 45. He goes back. He's looking for a receiver. He throws downfield to Carter. Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast. Go Blue and welcome to our Michigan Man Visitors Edition. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Are you ready for Week 2? This Saturday, the University of Central Florida Knights will make their first appearance in the Big House. I think it's safe to say most Michigan fans don't know much about this team. So today we'll hear from their radio voice of UCF football, Marc Daniels. Before that, here is my view from Section 17. We made quick work of Hawaii last week like everyone thought we would. The same is expected this week when UCF visits the Big House. On paper, we are huge favorites, but, as Bob Ufer used to say, and I always like to remind everyone of this, the only problem with that is we won't be playing Saturday's game on paper. Now, this year's Michigan team appears to be an interesting mix of game-tested veterans and a lot of fresh-faced freshmen, which we saw last week. 17 of them took the field in Week 1, and I expect we'll see most of them play again this week. UCF didn't win a game last year and played a lot of young talent because of injuries. Most observers expect us to roll these guys, but I'm sure Coach Scott Frost and his team have other ideas. Before we hear from Marc Daniels, a reminder about the soon-to-be-released interactive app I've been telling you about for the last month. There is still time to register as a player and get a sneak peek at this new app. It will change the way you watch and interact with your favorite sports team, including your Michigan Wolverines, while they are playing. For more info, email playitfirst@yahoo.com and include your cell number. That's playitfirst@yahoo.com, and don't forget to leave your cell phone number. When this app hits Google Play and the iTunes stores in October, it will be all the rage, so find out why. UCF radio play-by-play voice Marc Daniels is looking forward to calling Saturday's game from the Big House. He knows everyone is counting the UCF Knights out before the game even starts, but he thinks there is more talent on this team than most outside observers think. We'll see. He joins me next on our Visitors Edition of the Michigan Man on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. With us here on our visitors segment as we preview Saturday's upcoming game with University of Central Florida Knights is UCF radio play-by-play voice Marc Daniels. Marc, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, Marc, UCF fans were counting down how many days it had been since they tasted victory, so Saturday's 38-0 win over South Carolina State had to be sweet for everyone.
Well, certainly it was, welcome. The Knights had not won a game since the Hail Mary beating East Carolina to win their second straight American Athletic Conference title back in December 2014. But, to Coach Frost and the university's credit, they did, I thought, a great job of really just selling new era with Coach Frost. And I thought did the best job he can to put a forgetful season behind you. And, came out and at moments looked a little bit sluggish at the start, but then kind of got things going in the second half and, won a football game. And as Coach Frost has said many times, he just wanted his players to begin to have fun again, to win. And when you begin to win, then you'll expect to win. When you expect to win, then winning will come in bunches. So it's a process, but certainly, got the season off to a good start. Makes people feel better about themselves. So now, on to the next challenge.
Absolutely. Well, Michigan fans, of course, don't know much about University of Central Florida. This is the first ever meeting between the two teams. We know that George O'Leary was at UCF for over a decade and put together a pretty impressive record, 81 wins, 49 losses. So it's not like in the last decade or so this team and program haven't seen some good days.
No, we're just a couple of years removed to winning the Fiesta Bowl in a top 10 finish. That year that UCF went 12-1 and won at Penn State and won at Louisville when they were a top 6 team and they were undefeated and won the conference championship and then beat a Baylor team that had statistically at that point the best offensive season in the history of college football. And a number of guys went on to play in the NFL. Blake Bortles, obviously the quarterback. Rashad Perriman, the wide receiver, became a first-round draft pick, and a bunch of other guys. And the team backed up the following year by, again, winning the American Athletic Conference championship. So, last season was just one of those weird years where, UCF lost its starting quarterback, Justin Holman, in its second game of the year. It lost in total 8 starters to injuries in the first third of the season, ended up playing just a ton of true freshmen that ideally would have redshirted. And things just began to slip away, and the situation with Coach O'Leary certainly was a distraction. And, your record is what it was last year, and UCF was winless, but the talent of that team wasn't a winless team. And some of those young players that did have to play last year, I think, gained some experience where I think as Coach Frost got here, he realized, hey, the cupboard's not as bare as people thought it was. And I think that's made him feel better. Plus, he went out and recruited. But UCF, really in its infancy as a program, played in 1AA, made the move to Division I, survived as an independent briefly, then to the MAC, then to Conference USA, where it was very competitive, winning a couple of championships, and then they won the first 2 titles in the AAC. And now just trying to get itself back to where it's been, which is have been competing for conference championships.
Well, as we know, the O'Leary days are gone. Former Nebraska quarterback Scott Frost, now the head coach. I know Athlon magazine in the preseason said he was one of the 12 best new hires in all of college football in the last year. And he is, said to be bringing that Oregon kind of offense to UCF. No huddle, just fast, fast, fast. Tell us about that change in offensive philosophy under Coach Frost and how that's being received.
Well, Coach Frost obviously had great success in the system out at Oregon and came here, believed that he could recruit players that want to play in this system, and felt that was a big reason why he turned down other jobs, including Power 5 jobs, because he didn't want to go to places that he felt the resources weren't there to win. So he saw the recruiting hotbed that Florida offers, a chance to come play his offense where, our traditional state powers of Florida, Florida State, and Miami have always played more of a pro-style offense, and while USF over in Tampa has gone a little bit more to the spread, no one's really been doing what they had done out at Oregon. So he's come here, and as I remind people sometimes, you're not going to see the Oregon offense yet because he's just building this with a lot of new players and stuff, but you can see a little bit of what they like to do as far as the quick tempo. UCF in their game against South Carolina State ran 91 plays, which was about 20 more than they were averaging last season. And it is designed to try to get a snap off every 8 seconds. It's designed to have the defense kind of guessing, not being able to make substitutions. But it's going to take some time to get there. Right now, it's just a process that's developing. Quarterback Justin Holman did not have a sharp first half in the opening game, but came back, had a great second half. He's playing a number of true freshmen. So when he gets to players that he's comfortable with, I think you'll see more of a style like they had at Oregon. But again, it's going to take some time.
As you said, whenever you put a new offense in, it does take time, especially if you're going to, move to an offense like Oregon runs. But as you also mentioned, the cupboard wasn't bare, which is one of the reasons Coach Frost liked the idea of coming to UCF. A lot of young guys on that side of the ball, though, aren't there?
Yeah, offensively, well, Justin Ullman's a senior quarterback. UCF started a true freshman at running back, Jawan Hamilton. He's a speedster kid out of Miami. They played a number of running backs in the game, including another freshman. Adrian Killens was the kid that was his first commit from a high school power, Daytona Beach mainland. Played a number of true freshman wide receivers. UCF maybe is the strongest and may have mentioned its best defensive player right now. It's a true freshman defensively in Tristan Hill. So last night in the football game, there were a lot of guys that played their first college game. And as Coach Frost said, I'm not here to just say, let's redshirt, take a year off. If you can help us, let's put you out there and play. And as again, he builds this program for this year, and you look at the next year, these guys playing now will have tremendous experience, and he believes that they can help right now. And there's some guys that certainly did in the first game, understand the quality, but the opposition's going to get better as the year goes along. But the players enjoy playing for Coach Frost. You know, he's a young coach. He relates to them well, has a unique style when it comes to practice. UCF plays music the entire practice in their indoor facility. They have their own DJ. It's just a little bit different, new nutrition program. So there's a lot of things that Coach Frost took from all the resources at Oregon, and they're brought to UCF.
10 starters back in that offense, led by quarterback Justin Holman, and you said he started off a bit shaky on Saturday. 14 for 28 overall in that game, though. 2 TDs, and most importantly, he didn't throw any picks, so that's huge in an opener. As far as what we're going to see Saturday, is he the prototypical kind of a spread quarterback?
I don't know, prototypical. Again, Justin played in that pro style that Coach O'Leary and coordinator Charlie Taft had and learned from Blake Bortles before he took over, but he does have the size. Justin's 6'3", 6'4". He's probably about 215, 220. But it's an adjustment for him, again, to instead of being a traditional 7-step drop and looking downfield, he has a tremendous arm. This is much more of 3 sets, find the open man and get the ball out. And, you know, Justin may have been just, as Coach Frost said, just too excited, not nervous, but almost too excited, too much adrenaline in the first half. He settled down in the second half. He was 8 of 11 for 165, a couple of touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown. And he knows he goes back in the first half, and there's several plays that a receiver's wide open, and Justin just missed. And if he doesn't miss, it becomes a touchdown. And Coach Frost has great faith in him. He's the guy with the most experience, and you know, as he again gets comfortable, he'll make those decisions that certainly fit for what Coach Frost wants to do. The offense is designed to have a ton of speed, and you get the ball in the hands of those guys with speed and see if you can win some one-on-one battles in the open field.
Well, a lot of guys, as you mentioned, got carries on Saturday. Juwan Hamilton, Taj McGowan, and Justin Holman had 12 carries himself. Is this the kind of an offense? I know it's early with Scott just coming on board, but is it the kind of an offense that more heavily run or pass?
That's 2 different answers today versus what maybe game 9 or 10 is going to be. Again, as you get comfortable, but the offense by design is to have the quarterback, and I go back to when Scott helped develop Marcus Mariota. The offense is designed to have that quarterback really quickly evaluate how many guys in the box, and depending on the number in the box, you call run, you call play. And blocking schemes there. And the object is, if I work this well, if I run the first play and I quickly snap the next ball within 8 seconds and I do it the 3rd or 4th time, by the time that 4th or 5th play comes along, the concept is you've not been able to substitute and someone's out of place defensively. And the quarterback finds that quickly, gets the snap off. But this is a run-first offense. It's been in Oregon. If you look at the numbers, they were tilted towards the run. Usually it's about 60-65% run is what Oregon was, and it's designed to get those quick running backs or receivers in position where they can turn what is a 1-yard play to a 6-yard play. And then again, if you get that defense out of position, whether it's a corner, safety, outside linebacker that is just trying to get back to the line and he's not in the right spot, you find that open seam, there's the 20-yard or 50-yard pass play. So eventually that's what UCF hopes it's going to be. But right now it's just still all kind of, let's go play some games against somebody else and take what the defense to a degree gives us. For example, last night or on Saturday's game, Justin Holman, it wasn't so much 8 seconds. It was, hey, calm down. Let's look at the sideline. Let's see what the coach sees. Here's a play based on their formation. Let's run that. It was a lot more smoother for Justin in the second half. But again, this is still a process that's going to develop.
With us on our visitors segment this week, as we get ready for Saturday's game with the University of Central Florida Knights, is radio play-by-play voice Marc Daniels. Mark, let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. I know last year was a rough year for the defense as well as the entire team. 6 starters coming back from last year. Run through the defense with us and tell us what kind of a defense we are going to see Saturday and some of the key players.
Well, there are guys back, but UCF didn't make the adjustment going to a 3-4 this year after playing in the traditional 4-3, and their strength comes from back to front. All their starters are back in the secondary, a couple of really good corners, and Shaquille Griffin and DJ Killings, and a couple of good safeties, Rico Johnson. TJ Muckerton's a 5th-year graduate. He's been at UCF for a couple of years, but he played at Iowa State before coming over last year. That backside's good, good coverage. last year, they really struggled, not so much because of the secondary. There just was no pass rush, and quarterbacks had plenty of time to find receivers, and you can just cover so much before someone's going to get open. But defensively up front, UCF's got a couple of good players. Jemias Pittman now plays a nose tackle spot. He's undersized a little bit in the sense he's about 6'6'1", but a strong player. And then UCF's strongest defensive player right now is a true freshman named Christian Hill, number 95. He committed to Virginia a couple of days before he was to report, said, you know what, I don't think I want to go that far. I want to play closer to home. Virginia with a new coach allowed him to, freely come to UCF, and he's been amazing in the weight room. He had a very solid game in the opener on Saturday. And linebackers, not the tallest. This is an area where UCF's going to have to learn about their linebackers, particularly in a game like this against Michigan, for their size and physicality. Athletically, they're good, but physically, we'll just have to see what happens with the linebacking core. Shaquem Griffin, whose twin brother is Shaquille, one of the corners, he's been a nice surprise to develop an outside linebacker. Earl Clark's a junior college transfer who's been at UCF now for 2 years. He has a chance to have a decent season. And Dimitri Brim is a transfer from Virginia who played at UCF last year. So we'll see as these guys, get some games under the belt. But clearly the defense had to get better from last year. And I think they're athletically solid, but we'll see about physically as the year continues.
Well, I know when you have a new coach come in, you usually have attrition on both sides of the ball, and that, of course, affects your depth. Did a lot of players leave the program when Coach Frost came on board, so that depth is going to be an issue as this season progresses?
Nobody left. There was a significance. A couple of walk-ons that were looking for opportunities to play, but Coach Frost came in on day one in December, and he told the team, look, this is a program that has won before. We got to put aside what happened last year and truly a clean slate. And he proved it because there are a number of kids that started for UCF last year that are not starting, that were beaten out by other players, but provide some depth for UCF. There were a few players on the offensive side you wondered, would they leave to go elsewhere? But I think Coach Frost said, give me a chance to at least go through a spring practice with you, learn about our system, and if it's a place you don't want to be, then we can talk about that. But to his and his staff's credit, UCF lost no one when the new staff came in.
Well, coming up this Saturday, of course, first ever meeting between UCF and Michigan. As I said at the top of the interview, Mark, we don't know that much about UCF. Were there any injuries to note after the first game, by the way?
No, UCF had a great camp health-wise, really had nobody that was injured or missed any time, an occasional red jersey, but they were healthy through camp and came out of the first game very healthy. It was a big push by Coach Frost from a standpoint of the nutrition for his football team, the off-season conditioning. UCF has invested in that. Again, those are many things that Oregon developed over the years, and the team, as far as its body fat, it was a big mission of Coach Frost to, he felt, get the team in better shape. And he believes that they're in outstanding shape. Now, again, we'll learn about the physicality, and certainly a game like this will challenge them. But no injuries that came out of the first football game, so they're a healthy team as they come to Michigan.
Well, and that's good. So it's good to get a game under everyone's belt. UCF has an idea, a better idea of their team, and, of course, Michigan does now, too. So I don't know how much, if any, yet you've been able to look at Michigan defensively and offensively, but starting on the offensive side of the ball from a UCF perspective, how do you think they attack this Michigan defense and match up with it?
Well, it's a really interesting matchup. Look, I think there's great respect, obviously, for Michigan, its program and its history, and obviously for Coach Harbaugh has been successful anywhere that he's been, and I can't speak for what Coach Frost is trying to diagram up in his laboratory right now, but, I think it's important for UCF to try to control the ball, which sounds a little bit odd for an offense that by design wants to score as quickly as possible, but I'm not quite sure UCF wants to get into that type of game with Michigan. I think the understanding is you can't afford to make mistakes early, fall down, and suddenly you're down 2-3 possessions, and it becomes very challenging, I think, to try and compete. So I think you'd like to be able to run the football with some success, be able to chew some time off the clock and give yourself a chance, if you protect that football, to allow that game to kind of get quick in the sense that you're having those long drives of 5, 6, 7 minutes. It's okay to get a couple of first downs, and if you have to punt the football, just don't make mistakes. And that'll be challenging with an offensive line that I think is much better this year, did struggle last year, but obviously they're going to get a big test. I had a chance to watch portions of the game against Hawaii. Clearly Michigan's a very talented football team, and Hawaii, I don't know if there's a team in the world that's had the challenge they did the first 2 weeks to travel. So, again, I think you've got to be smart with the football. And the one thing I'll say about this for UCF is that there's enough players on this team that to go to venues, it's no longer one of these, wow, I mean, I never thought I'd play here. We've been to Ohio State. We've been to Penn State. We played in the Fiesta Bowl. We played at a packed house at Louisville. I don't think the football team is going to be intimidated by the venue. I think they'll appreciate and hopefully get a moment to understand the history of it. But I think from Coach O'Leary's players and now, as Coach Frost has inherited this group, I don't think that's going to be an issue where it's overwhelmed. Michigan's talent is one that I think is the challenge for UCF. And, I think that's where Michigan has its advantage is, the physical style of play, the depth that they have, and how UCF needs to try, I think, shorten the football game. But offensively, they're going to have to run the ball, and Justin Holman's going to have to not make mistakes. If he throws a couple of interceptions, particularly early, then it could be a struggle.
Now the UCF program has an exciting young coach, Scott Frost, who's been around some very successful coaches and very successful programs, and they have to be excited. But a lot of folks coming up, pretty good crowd.
Yeah, UCF has done a good job selling tickets. There's an alumni base across the country. I think as some people up in Michigan may know a little bit about UCF's football success in the past, from a standpoint of school, it's the second largest school in the country. Fall enrollment was over 63,000. New downtown campus in Orlando. The campus for UCF is located on the east side of town, but there'll be a new downtown campus in the next decade that'll push UCF's enrollment well north of 80,000. Largest television market without an NFL team, almost as big as Miami, with 1.6 million people, 150,000 alumni in the three-county area around where the campus is. So it's a large school that's only built on half its land. And has had incredible enrollment growth in the last 30 years, a leader in many areas as far as hospitality and with the Space Center not far away. So a school that many people still may learn about from a standpoint of that football program has had some success, but one of the youngest schools in the country and the fastest rising school in the country. So from a fan standpoint, UCF's got a few thousand folks that are coming up there. I know they're excited for the opportunity. And listen, I've done this for 22 years. I've had the chance to broadcast at some great venues. I've not done one of the big house, so it's exciting for me to get up there and experience that, and hopefully we'll have a good football game.
Well, it will be, I'm sure, an interesting trip for all of the fans, and I think you'll enjoy the big house.
Good. We look forward to it. Like I said, we've had a chance to be in some great venues, Ohio State a couple of years ago, but have not done this. For me, it's campus 195. I've done games at 195 different campuses. Well, this will be the 195th different campus, so I look forward, great respect, obviously, for the program, the history there, and look forward to getting a chance to roam the campus and certainly enjoy the stadium atmosphere on Saturday.
Well, with us on our visitors segment this week as we prepare for Saturday's second home game of the season, University of Central Florida UFC Knights radio play-by-play voice Marc Daniels. Mark, we thank you for taking time to join us this week and hope you enjoy the trip and the weekend in Ann Arbor and the Big House.
Thank you much.
An injury update and a few game day facts are next on Quick Hits here on The Michigan Man on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. On Quick Hits today, Jim Harbaugh said on Monday that Taco Charlton and Brian Monet will not play this week. Monet had an MRI over the weekend, and it is being reported he will be back in 3 weeks or so. Jim didn't say that, but it has been reported in other circles. Other than bumps and bruises, we are in decent shape for Saturday. We should see Jordan Lewis and Davion Smith back and ready to roll, but don't be surprised if we have a few starters still sitting as they get back to full strength. Not to say Saturday will be a walk in the park, but we have to stay as healthy as we can for this formidable Big Ten schedule. Here are a few game day facts. This is the first ever meeting between Michigan and UCF. Head coach Scott Frost is in his first year as the head man. He, of course, was the quarterback for Nebraska when they shared the national championship with us back in 1997. He was also the quarterback coach at Oregon and developed Marcus Mariota into a pretty decent player. Last year was one UCF fans would like to forget. They were 0-12, suffering a boatload of injuries through the season. They returned 19 starters, 10 on offense, 7 on D, and 2 special teams players. They will run a very fast version of the spread offense, much like Oregon does. Their last bowl appearance was a 34-27 loss against North Carolina State in the 2014 St. Petersburg Bowl. They are members of the American Athletic Conference. The weatherman says temps will be in the mid to upper 70s Saturday, but we could get wet. Showers or a thunderstorm are in the forecast, so bring your rain gear. Kickoff is at 12 noon. Before we part, a reminder about the soon-to-be-released interactive app I've been telling you about. There is still time to register as a player and get a sneak peek at this very new app. It will change the way we watch and interact with our favorite teams while they are playing. For more info, email playitfirst@yahoo.com and include your cell number. That's playitfirst@yahoo.com, and don't forget to leave your cell number. When this app hits Google Play and the iTunes Store in October, it will be all the rage. Find out why. On Tuesday's Game Day edition, we are scheduled to visit with Michigan beat writer Mark Snyder from the Detroit Free Press to recap Saturday's game and look ahead to a visit from Colorado. On Thursday's Visitors Edition, our guest will be Mark Johnson, the radio play-by-play voice of Colorado football. So make sure you join us for that. Our free show apps are available in the Google Play and iTunes stores, so check one of them out and hear the show anytime, anywhere. That's a wrap for our Visitors Edition. I'll see you back here next week. Until then, I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Enjoy Saturday's first ever matchup with UCF and have a great Wolverine weekend, everyone. Think victory, beat UCF. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. That's themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!